development in Bogota New University. And then I've been involved with the SONEUK conference since this concept in the beginning, and I've been supporting the conference. And it's an honor for me to share this session as well. It's quite close to my heart. Okay. So there have been some changes in the program because we were going to start with Professor Shubham Sakya doing the keynote speech, but he is currently unavailable. So by the time he's online, we would like to have a presentation from Dr. Vinod Amartya. And it's obviously it had been already introduced earlier in terms of metro rail and so on. So it will be something related to that, and then it's different, and it's different in terms of like extension of that concept as well. So Dr. Vinod Amartya is a chartered civil engineer and a ground engineering specialist. He is currently working as a principal consultant at Arcadis, a global engineering consultant based in London, UK. Vinod is also a co-founder of the Greater Kathmandu Valley Metro Rail Promotion Group, GKV-MRP Group. The group advocates the development of a metro rail system in Kathmandu Valley. He has 23 years of industrial and research-based experience on a wide range of civil and ground engineering projects worldwide. This includes 12 years of consulting services in the UK, 3 years of academic research at the University of Cambridge, and 2 years of construction project in Nepal. Vinod has a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Institute of Engineering, Tribhuvan University, Nepal, a master's degree in ground engineering from Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand, and a PhD awarded by the Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan. Now I hand over to Vinod.
Okay, thank you, Ramesh sir. Namaste, good afternoon. Nepali English miss garau hai. Okay, today I'm going to talk about urgency of National Ground Research Center in Nepal. If we really want to have a sustainable development, resilient infrastructure, we need to have a research center for ground, because disaster management, it can contribute in disaster management. So in this talk, because we are floating this idea, I'll talk about the vision that institutions. Sure,
Thank you. Share भएको छैन है, share भएको छैन.
तपाईं जुममा जानुभयो, जुममा कनेक्टेड हुनुहुन्छ त्यहाँ गएर त्यहाँ जानुभयो हैन. अब त्यो ओपन छ नि तपाईको प्रेजेन्टेसन,
यसलाई फुल स्क्रिन गर्नु पर्यो.
यो तपाईको प्रेजेन्टेसन ओपन छ हैन, त्यसलाई शेयर
Post disabled participant screen sharing.
तपाईको नाम के हो?
यो कम्प्युटरको नाम थाहा भएन.
तपाई यो बोल्नुस् त त्यहाँ.
हेलो,
रवि कोइराला.
रवि कोइराला.
ल अब गर्नु.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you. It's good.
Okay.
All good.
So today we briefly discussed about why we need a research center for, sustainable and resilient infrastructure in Nepal. If we dream for that sort of infrastructure in Nepal, we need to have a strong research-based culture. So I'll talk about those things today. So because this is a new concept the country should have, I will start talking from its vision, mission, and objective. Basically, these are the three things I'm going to talk today. So this is a picture of Nepal, map of Nepal. We are very familiar. I argue that Nepal is a hospital of sick infrastructure. Every infrastructure is sick in Nepal. This is an example. Our highways, Naren Mugling Road, always problem, right? This is problem from when I was childhood, probably. This is the news from today. 4 घण्टामा खुल्यो पहिरोले अब अवरुद्ध पृथ्वी राजमार्ग. This is the news of today, right? This is happening throughout the country 24/7. And this is the bridge built recently and it's collapsing. So the data shows that during 2017 to 21, at least 50 bridges failure have been highlighted in the nation media. 11 of them failed during construction period and remaining after completion of the structure work. Cost of these failures in around 2 billion. And so this picture is from Parvat, landslide. And this is a picture from Melanchi. See, and there is small letter, flood devastation in Melanchi, not only because of rain. Because we do not do proper study of our geology.
Binu sir, your slides are not moving.
Oh my God.
Could you do the presentation mode and maybe that will work?
Stop share.
Slide full side slide button. Okay, yeah.
Can you see?
But it comes 2 slides on 1 page. Not sure what happened.
It should be fine. It's not a big deal, but
Maybe I will leave that, Narad sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty fine then. No worries.
Yeah. So, you know, our line is fragile and our infrastructure is suffering every day. So see the geology, see the ground happen because of Melanchi devastation. So this is the historical site we have in Kathmandu. You know, I would say we have a virus called earthquake. It just comes and destroy our temple. It's gone, right? Kathmandu was like that after earthquake in 2015. So Nepal is a hospital of sick infrastructure. Our infrastructure are not healthy right from the moment our infrastructure is in the mummy's belly, right? It's not properly looked after from that stage to its, you know, cradle to grave stage. So our infrastructures are like we human beings. They're very similar. Infrastructures are like we human beings. So when we go to GP, doctor will say, okay, do your blood test, do your urine test, do your stool test, you know, check various components of our blood. And they will tell you have this problem, that problem, you have to do this medicine, you have to take this medicine. Likewise, for any infrastructure development, particularly in civil engineering, we have to do a fundamental testing of ground. But we don't do that. And as a result, our infrastructures are failing. So this is just an example, you see, the NHS, 12.7 million pathology lab at Bournemouth Hospital near completion. Just an example, you know, how medical system is working. See, to operate a hospital, they need a pathology lab, right? To have intensive testing of, you know, everything. Likewise, we need a lab, we need a ground research lab for infrastructure development. It is equivalent to pathology lab in hospital. And that is why I'm doing this presentation and requesting government or the policymakers that we should have a visionary thinking for ground research. And for that, we need a ground research center to build safe, resilient, sustainable, build as well as natural environment, not only build infrastructure, also natural, through adequate understanding of ground and associated ground risk. So the mission of GRC, if we establish that, the mission should be develop knowledge and expertise on soil and geology of the country, understand their engineering behavior by, you know, academic, professional research and development. Then we can build a proper infrastructure. We can have a proper, you know, baby that will grow and become a proper adult to serve the nation. And that is how we can build safe, resilient, and sustainable infrastructure in the country. So there are several objectives. I have proposed at least 6 objectives as a first attempt. So my first objective of this GRC should be, my proposed one is establish National Ground Database Center. So the problem here in Nepal is if we want to build something, we don't have a database system. So you got to start from scratch. You go and dig the hole and find out what is there, and then you start, right? It should not be like that. So what we would like to see is we bring all those data, historical data, maybe Department of Road is, I don't know how old is that? Maybe 60, 50, 60 years old, right? From last 50, 60 years, this bundle of data sitting in Department of Road doing nothing, right? But when we want to build something, we don't have data, and maybe the contractor or consultant did build data with wrong data, or they don't do any ground investigation. They just do cut and paste, or I don't know why the bridges are failing right after the construction. So that's my concern. So what we're proposing is to bring all those historical data. There are several geo consultants in Nepal, Department of Roads is there, Department of Railways, there are so many organizations collecting data for their infrastructure development. So if we want to really honestly develop the nation, we need to bring those data so that we don't need to invent the wheel, and we don't need to scratch from the base all the time. So by this information, we can build basic information of the ground, and from that we can perceive, the risk and what type of, further studies we need to do to build our future infrastructure. So the whole country needs a scanning and build a database system. So that sort of database system is available in UK. So British Geological Survey is the institution, has compiled all those data. So whenever we do any infrastructure, those clients will submit those data to British Geological Survey, and they put in the system. So whenever we start any project, we can go in this website. You can ping those dots and find out what sort of information is there, what sort of ground is there, where is the water table there, what type of ground is there. So we can have a basic information. So we don't need to scratch from the basic. So that sort of system we need to build in Nepal. And we try to do some kind of work in 2018. I was working for a collaborative research work on Kathmandu Metro with University of Warwick in 2018. And for that research work for the student of Warwick University, we built this database provided by the multidisciplinary consultant, because they have their geo lab, and those geo information was compiled and was presented in this GIS system, so students can access those data. And if we have those data, then we can find out the risks, ground risks. For example, this is the map of liquefaction susceptibility map, right? This sort of map we can have. Likewise, there is another map produced by JICA Studies, the soil softness map. So the next objective, I think, should be is to develop experimental facilities for research on fundamental or advanced engineering properties of soil. So we need to have a lab, like I was telling about the pathology lab. We need to have equivalent type of pathology, engineering pathology lab. In engineering campus, we have a little bit these things. So we are working with university and forcing them that maybe we need to start the IRC, Geotechnical Research Center from Institute of Engineering. So we're advocating for that. And lots of ground investigation happens in the field. We need those technology coming in Nepal. So the next objective is develop code of practice guideline to deal with various soil and geology, hydrogeology prevailing in the country. So, for example, Kathmandu is a capital city. It's a hub of the nation, and high-rise buildings are popping out everywhere in Kathmandu. And these are some future projects. Some hotels, some high-rise shopping complex are coming. These will keep on coming because these are necessary to accommodate the crowd in Kathmandu. And we are advocating for development of metro rail. So the advanced infrastructures will be coming in Nepal. And these will be elevated. It could be anything underground, right? So at the moment I'm talking about the elevated, like high-rise buildings. These buildings will have pile foundation. Like the building is 10 meter tall, the foundation may be 20 meter, 30 meter down, right? So we need to understand what type of foundation the buildings have. We need to understand the behavior of those pile foundation. If we don't, during this catastrophic event, our high-rise buildings will be in danger. So, and on top of that, Nepal is in a seismic zone. So if we do not study in this way, our future infrastructure or our present infrastructure will have a catastrophic impact like this. So in UK, for example, they have developed so many guidelines, and which I practice every day. For example, chalk is very prevalent in UK. So if you go in major beach, you see a white cliff that's called chalk. So they have whole guideline developed on engineering on chalk. If you want to do something in chalk, you go to and have that book. That is the first step. Likewise, Lambeth group is a kind of soil prevailing in London. So they have developed a guideline, basic properties, how this Lambeth group is. What is that Lambeth group? That's sort of basic detail to start. They have published that. In the third one, this is the guideline for how to design pile foundation in the London ground environment. They have built that code. So that sort of code of practice, some basic engineering details should come out. For example, I'm giving some example of Kathmandu because lots of infrastructure is happening in Kathmandu. The Kathmandu provides 25% of national economy, but our infrastructures are built in a very crude way. So these guidelines will help. So likewise, develop facility for computer modeling of complex geotechnical problem, from complex ground engineering problem. For example, we are now talking about underground infrastructure. Kathmandu should have underground metro in the core part of the city, right? That is a way to preserve the environment, preserve our heritage, preserve open spaces. So when we think about underground infrastructures, we need to think how this infrastructure will interact with the physical infrastructure already there. For example, high-rise buildings are popping out here and there day by day. So future underground infrastructures having more constraint. So we should have a capability to do those things. So we need to have a capacity enhancement of Nepalese engineers so that we can investigate how these structures interact and how to build those underground infrastructure safely without hampering the existing infrastructure. So the another thing is developing expertise for field scale instrumentation and monitoring. So it's something like, if you go in hospital and have a surgery or, operation, heart operation or something, doctor will constantly do a monitoring, all your body parts are monitored. Likewise, infrastructure should be monitored. We are having massive landslide problem. We could develop some instrumentation monitoring technique for those so that we can predict, okay, those are the hills, those are the slope fragile, and the development or the habitation should not take place in those places. So that sort of, monitoring system would help to build safe places. And likewise, research on engineering, geology, and geo-environmental area. So the whole Nepal is in Himalayan geology, right? So the huge area for study and is a complex part of the world. Likewise, this is a geo-environmental issue, how the pollution, landfills, we are building landfills here and there, how that landfills are polluting our groundwater, our drinking water source. These sort of things, we can model and predict and make a safe zone. So we need that kind of research center. I don't know how and what would be the organization setup of this research center. This is the point to be discussed. I am just giving some example. In the world, like Norwegian Geotechnical Institute is a world famous ground research center. Likewise, Swedish Geotechnical Institute. So particularly NGI is world famous, and it's a leading expert are from Norwegian NGI. So it's a time to think how we build this organization. So in conclusion, Nepalese construction industry is in need of leadership role to manage the ground risks for better performance of existing and future infrastructure. Management of ground risks is only possible through understanding of soil and geology and type of infrastructure to be built. Establishment of National Ground Research Center has been an urgent need for the country for disaster risk management as well as sustainable development of Nepal. Thank you.
Okay, I will start from here. Just to
understand myself.
Yeah.
Like when we do the asset management
Yeah.
in electrical engineering, like transformer, overhead towers, pilots, we normally do two different aspects of asset management. One is the load-based asset management, where they're capable of fulfilling the demand or not, and then the one is the health-based, the asset health index, that's the capacity. Sorry, that's the KPI that we find out, and then based on that we do. So in civil engineering also, like the civil infrastructures in the country or whoever manages that one, do they have that health index based maintenance, means the data that you get from inspection and maintenance and then convert that into health index metrics, and based on that one you make a decision whether to replace or refurbish or reinforce.
I doubt, but I haven't worked in Department of Rail or any government major institution, so I have no idea. But I doubt.
Yeah, I'll just take it the privilege of like
Yeah,
sharing
please.
the session, but these things come now on this like the concept of digital twins and then all those building information modeling and so on coming. So there will be paper later on as well, but we are in very much primitive stage, so we don't have any recorded electronic data to monitor infrastructure. Okay, so if even if it's like some inspection happens on the bridges or something, then it's recorded somewhere, but there is no centralized database that you are talking about.
Yeah.
I have those jobs while in the workbook Department of Division of Works. So there was a system that we have to monitor the bridges and culverts. I did some asset management like recording all culverts, naming of the culvert size and changes. So we did so even we call it inventory book, the big book.
Yeah.
So we have to write down here and there was a bridge department is doing the things for bridge maintenance part. So you have to invest the money for monitoring
Monitoring.
and find out what is the status of the bridge. Then happily,
Yeah.
but when the project goes off, then again break.
Okay.
So there's
No
no
continuity.
systematic recording of it. That's why like we need some sort of database in there as well.
Normally, I
Okay.
think grid planning or electricity planning or पहिला नै यसको डेटा मेन्टेनेन्स रेगुलर इन्स्पेक्सन डेटा अथवा कतिपय एआईबाट पनि चार्ज गराइन्छ आर्टिफिसियल इन्टेलिजेन्स डेटाहरूलाई चाहिँ प्रोसेस गर्छ अनि त्योबाट चाहिँ पहिल्यै चाहिँ प्रेडिक्ट गर्छ कि अब यो ट्रान्सफर्मर चाहिँ 5 इयर्समा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ रिप्लेस गरेन भने यो कामदैन भनेपछि अनि त्यो लङ टर्म इन्भेस्टमेन्ट प्लानिङमा चाहिँ ओके अन इयर 4 will be investing this much money to replace this many transformers.
Okay. I think that I'm पछाडि अहिले अलिकति टाइम फ्री हुन लागेको छ पछि यसलाई अलिकति डिस्कस गरौँला किनभने अलिकति कन्सेप्टहरू आइरहेको छन् होइन त्यो अलिकति ओपन फोरम जस्तो गरौँला होइन अहिले यसलाई चाहिँ टाइम लुज नगर्नको लागि चाहिँ आई वान्ट टु गो टु द नेक्स्ट
Thank you. Ramesh, sir, there are a couple of the issues. It looks like from Nepal, the people connected and again disappears. So maybe issue in Nepal side. Subarna Sakesh are connected and the Kripa also connected and they disappear again. Not sure whether they come back very soon.
Please keep us updating and we'll carry on like at least if there's a discussion we'll continue as well. So we'll just play with the situation, right?
Can we then ask maybe Bhupendra Mishra, if available, can you start with him? Bhupendra Mishra already connected. Bhupendra, are you ready?
No, we have not finished with the presentation yet.
Oh, haven't we finished? Sorry.
We have not. Yeah, we are just going to the set of questions. Sorry.
Oh my God, sorry.
Yeah, little bit.
I will take one question as well.
Regarding the quick common source of database, I'm really intrigued by your presentation regarding the requirement of common platform.
Yeah.
That British has really managed to well with when they said the truth of the single place.
Yeah.
So similar to BTS,
Yeah.
it is so important and massive.
Yeah.
Planners are using contractors, builders, consultants, and I'm wondering if the similar equivalent to BGS. Is there any organization in Nepal that dealing with similar kind of data accumulation and providing publicly? Or if not, I don't know, if the government cannot impose this kind of policy, just whenever someone does exploration ground exploration, the requirement to not
log in with those data at some central server or something like that. But if not, what's the thing is the hard?
I think to some extent, data is available in Nepal because Department of Mines and Geology has done lots of work, but those data are confined within them. I don't think those data are available for public domain or for public, but I think Department of Mines and Geology is in a prominent place. If we do this, they can be a big contributor because they have those lots of massive study.
Policy, even the
Yeah,
developer when
Yeah.
they explore
yeah,
and get down, characterize the ground, if they can log in those data into the central system.
yeah. Maybe that is what we are asking that government should build, and maybe Kekedai can add. Like I believe, like Department of Mines, Department of Road have a massive data sitting in their department, right? Massive, because highways is a linear structure, right? It's 100 kilometers, so there should be at least hundreds of borehole data. So those maybe they can be a big contributor.
Yeah, actually, for example, in our British geological map, so they have all these data, and just when you give the postcode, then you
Yeah.
can see the.
That's
border
right.
area.
That's right. That's
Okay, I think I just want to cut it short. Probably
Yeah.
we come back to it later on towards the end when we open the floor so we can have more discussion as well. Can I come to you?
How will you manage the database system बनाउने त्यो objective देखियो नि त organization तर कसरी भन्ने चाहिँ मेरो बुझ्यो हैन अनि कुरा सरले अहिले मिले सेन्टर यहाँ छ हामीलाई इन्फर्मेसन भन्नुभयो अनि प्लस अर्को कुरा चाहिँ जुन चाहिँ अहिले भर्खरै कुरा हुँदै थियो डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ रोड हैन 60-70 years they काम गरेर we have a tons of data हैन अनि in order to change into that information हामीले चाहिँ कति समय लाग्छ कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ जस्ट माइ क्वेरी के कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ how much time it takes to do that भन्ने चाहिँ मेरो
टाइम कति लाग्ला भन्ने कुरा त अब एकदम यो फिजिकल क्वान्टिटी भयो हैन। अब चाहिँ अब यो कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ कस्तो भने आजकल यो GIS सिस्टम वेल डेभलप छ हैन। हामीले अब फिजिकली कुरा गर्ने भए हामीसँग भएको पेपर डेटालाई अब जस्तै BGS ले के गर्छ भने अब अझै म 5 वर्ष अगाडिको कुरा गर्दैछु होला, अहिले त सबै इलेक्ट्रोनिकली आउँछ हैन, त्यो प्लग इन गरेर जान्छ। 5-6 years अगाडि एभ्रिथिङ वाज इन PDF। फर एक्जाम्पल हाम्रो ग्राउन्ड इन्भेस्टिगेसन गरेर आएर बोरहोल आयो भने PDF फर्मेटमा आउँछ, उनीहरूले त्यो PDF फर्मेट स्क्यान गरेर राखेको छ कि। जस्तो मैले अघि त्यो बोरहोलको डटहरू देखाएँ, तपाईँले त्यहाँ लगेर माउस त्यहाँ राख्नुभयो भने त्यो माउस एक्टिभेट हुन्छ, त्यहाँ क्लिक गर्नुभयो भने अनि त्यसको त्यो बोरहोल इन्फर्मेसनहरू आउँछ कि। अनि त्यसमा मल्टिपल पेजेसहरूको डेटा छ भने हजुर लग्नलाई अब डिजिटल गरेर त्यो गर्नलाई अब इट्स अ बिग वर्क।
सरगिराले गर्न नसक्ने कुरा होइन, उनीहरूको प्लान सेक्सन मलाई थाहा भएन, तर जस्तो एक्जाम्पलको लागि लालपुर
हजुर
तिनीहरूले चाहिँ अहिले इलेक्ट्रोनिकमा
गरिरहेको
होइन मैले सुनेको अब धेरै कुरा डिजिटलाइज भइसक्यो नि त, डिजिटली तपाईँले गर्नुपर्छ। अब नक्साहरू डिजिटली होइन, अब युवाहरूले पनि गरिरहेको छ कि
त्यो चाहिँ नेसनल स्केलमा आउनु पर्यो। अब त्यसमा चाहिँ जस्तो डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ माइन्स एन्ड जियोलोजी इज इन अ लिडिङ पोजिसन फर दिस।
तर यो तपाईँले पहिला पनि मैले भने यो इसी मोड भन्ने
इसी मोडले त्यो माउन्टेन त्यो सबैलाई ल्याएर चाहिँ पब्लिक डोमेनमा आउनु पर्यो। हजुर
इसी मोडले चाहिँ नलेज म्यानेजमेन्ट सिस्टम पनि युज गरेको छ कि, तिनीहरूले चाहिँ नलेज म्यानेजमेन्ट भनेर त्यो एउटा डिपार्टमेन्टै युज गरेको छ होइन। त्यहाँ क्वाइट अलट अफ इन्फर्मेसन चाहिँ छ, तर किनकि अलट अफ थिङ्स आर नट जोइन्टेड एन्ड सेन्ट्रली म्यानेज एन्ड वी डोन्ट नो वेयर इट एक्जिस्ट एज वेल। So I think this is a quite good initiative. If we can actually push towards the government policy and we can actually force them, okay, we need to have this organization and so on, which is really good initiative.
So
at the moment, we have got examples as well. Right?
Yeah, at the moment, we are nowhere. So at the moment, we talk with Engineering Institute. Okay, can you guys do something for this? Because they have some infrastructure, so they can plus that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up again later on. Because of the time, I think it's really interesting. I would like to continue, but if we do it, we may not finish other presentation on time as well.
Yeah.
So our next presentation is going to be from the second session. I'm going to bring this one forward. The presenter is Bhupesh Kumar Mishra, and the title is Collaborative Framework with Shared Responsibility for Relief Management in a Disaster Scenario, which is very much similar as well. Please let me give you some time to introduce the speaker. Mr. Mishra is from Janakpur, Nepal, working as a senior lecturer in AI and data science in the University of Gloucester. He completed his bachelor's in computer engineering and master's in information and communication engineering from Tribhuvan University, Nepal, and a PhD from the University of the West of Scotland, UK. Mr. Mishra worked as a postdoc researcher at the University of Bradford in the area of smart cities solutions. His research interest areas are data science, machine learning, smart cities, explainable AI, and citizen science. I think it's quite relevant what we're talking about, the databases and everything like that. I think this will be more very much relevant to our discussion as well later on. So I would like to hand over to Bhupesh Kumar Mishra, and now sir, please play the video presentation.
I think presentation from there. Who is playing Sangeeta from there? Yeah, okay, it's coming now. If you play, we can't hear any sound.
If there is any problem in video, I can present now. If you allow me to share my screen.
Just wait, Bhupesh, for a sec. Sangeeta, are you trying from there?
When you talk about any disaster, it is defined.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I am Bhupesh Mishra. I am presenting my paper, Collaborative Framework with Shared Responsibility for Relief Management in the Disaster Scenario. When you talk about any disaster, it is defined as a serious disruption of the functioning of its community or any society or any geographical region which exceeds the ability of that particular affected community to cope with its resources, so that they can't handle the impact of the disaster from their own resources. And that's how we define the disaster. And it is increasing over the years. It has been recorded that the form of disaster or different types of disaster have been increasing throughout the world, and that includes Nepal as well. In any disaster, whether it is man-made or natural, cause the tragic loss of lives. Their social impact have been huge, and the community have suffered lots. And then it is really harder for the survivors to bring their life to the normal. And it is challenging because it occurs unexpectedly. We don't know when it occurs and how occurs, in which what it will be the impact and what will be the severity. So it is a complex phenomena. To minimize the impact of disaster, we need disaster relief management, which is a systematic process by using all administrative resources or organizational skills or operational skills with their own capacity to minimize the impact of disaster, so that the survivor can cope up with the disaster as a post-disaster life. And disaster management compromise which is a number of activities, and these activities are targeted to limit the adverse effect for the survivors. And it must be prepared, well prepared, well planned to address the consequences of disaster effectively. Talking about the different challenges of disaster relief management, one of the biggest challenges that it has different stakeholders that operate together in different phases of disaster management process. And over the years, there have been different models being used for relief management across the world for the different disaster environments. However, there have been instances where the management had gone through the challenges in terms of sharing responsibility among the stakeholders, so that the relief management could be effective, efficient for the relief item distribution. And this challenge appears because of the uncertainty associated with the disasters, because it has not been any model can't predict what will be the impact, how it going to be happen. So there is always some uncertainty, and because of that, there has been always a challenge to design or to make a strategy for good disaster relief management. Globally, disaster relief management strategy has been changed over the years. It is continuously expanding and growing in terms of engaging different stakeholders, different peoples, or different organizations or communities to achieve the effective disaster relief management process. And in recent years, shared responsibility among the stakeholders, so that a stakeholder could be government organizations, non-government organizations, media, different communities, different social leaders or national leaders. So there has been shared responsibility in recent years to make the disaster relief management effective. Studies have suggested that any disaster requires better integrated, collaborative, cohesive integration among the stakeholders, so that there will be a common goal among all the stakeholders and there will be common activities or strategies to make the disaster relief process very effective. And on top, government collaboration with other stakeholders improves the efficiency of disaster relief management. It is the government's major responsibility to look after all this shared responsibility or the management process and lead the whole process to make the disaster relief management very effective. In this paper, I presented a collaborative framework with shared responsibility for effective disaster relief management. As we can see, the framework has 5 different components, which are government organizations, NGOs, community, leadership, and media. And they all have their own resources, their own skills and knowledge, and they need to share their resources, knowledge, and skills for the common task of effective disaster relief management. Talking more details about this framework, as we can see, the government organization is on top of the hierarchy, and the rest of the all 4 components are in the second level of hierarchy. And these are connected through the 2 different lines, green solid lines and broken purple lines. The green solid line indicates that there has been sharing of information, there is communication among the stakeholders, there have been sharing of activities, whereas the dotted line shows that the government organization has the control control over all the rest of the stakeholders, and this line also shows that all the organization has bounded with the rules and regulations set by the government organizations, and they have the obligations which is set by the government organizations to work under the framework of the government set rules and regulations. Talking about individual component major role in this framework, when you see the government organization, it acts as a system with wealth, knowledge, resources, control, and power of decision making, which is the big component of any relief process, because so there needs some decision making on time and effective decision making, which the government organization is equipped with. The government organization also has skilled manpower, professionals, enough money to distribute or arrange the money for the task and arrange the relief items and other assets to minimize the impact of disasters to the victims. It also can define the rules, and strategy, principle, and processes, so that the government can has good control over the disaster relief management, and it has potentially set the shared goal with all stakeholders, because it will act as a controlling body to achieve the goal, so that all organizations or all stakeholders know what is their roles and how they need to perform under which circumstances. NGOs, whether international such as Red Cross or UN, or national or local level, or any private sector, appear more as a service provider to the disaster victims at individual levels or community levels for relief management. Their role can be observed as a substitute for government organization, because government organization cannot reach at the lower level at each individual and community level, so where the NGOs are more effective to reach to the community level or individual level for the relief management task. There have been examples where NGOs involvement has a very successful story in the case of like the Indian Ocean tsunamis, Japan tsunamis. In these disaster cases, they played major role in establishing health camps, treating for physical and mental illness, engaging in rescue tasks, setting temporary shades, providing water, electricity, and others, so on. and they have been very effective in that disastrous cases. Another component is community and citizens. Their engagement has proven to be crucial for faster recovery of any disaster. Their engagement in this framework is different because they are the seekers, they are the actual victims, they need the relief items, so they are important component for any effective disaster relief management task. The local community leaders need to be more engaged because they understand the need of individual and individual families who suffered more, who requires which kind of support. So they are the manager at the macro levels at the suffered regions, and also local community leader can engage for a longer period of extended period of if there is required of extended period of support, then it is the local community leader who appear to be a good manager in such a task. For example, if there is a requirement of building some houses or schools or any other community buildings, it is the local community leader who can manage the task for extended period of time. They need to be self-motivated so that they can play a positive role in disaster resilience. Another component in this framework is leadership. When I talk about the leadership, it is the national level or government level leadership. Their role become extremely vital because they can bring the state of calmness among the citizens. They can assure that the government is with the victims and the government is doing every necessary arrangement for the relief support. In normal condition, leadership decisions are made up with experts' opinion and advice, and they make a strategic plan. But whereas when we talk about this disaster environment or disaster scenario, the condition is different, and disaster appears all of a sudden. There's uncertainty, there are less information, and they have to make decisions accordingly. And also, the decisions are different than the normal dish planning because there is concern of safety, there is concern of evacuation, and also giving the positivity among the victims that the government are along with them. And also, they need to prioritize the task to make the effective relief management. The fifth component of this framework is media. The communication, the media play a major role to establish links with the victims using various ways, so the televisions, leaflet, newspaper, audio, text message, video, text message, and they can use different medium to establish the links between the victims and the government organization. Nowadays, we can see another form of media is social media, which is very effective and very popular, such as Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp. They can react more quicker than the other media links. Communication through the media has advantage in terms that they can reach to the wider range, a wider community at the same time, and even they can reach to the wider community if there is partial breakdown of existing infrastructure. So there are different alternative means and which can be used to establish the link with the disaster victim. And it also plays a key role in motivation by providing the positive messages or giving the right information the right time. But the downside of this media engagement is sometimes the misleading information or incorrect or untimely information can make the scenario even worse, and that can bring some more panic and can affect the disaster relief management task. To avoid this, there is government engagement is required, which can control the mechanism of how media can establish the link and what message should be passed and at what time. In conclusion, we can say disasters are inevitable, but it is possible to minimize the potential risk by using or developing effective disaster relief management process. In this process, the role of government is very crucial as they establish the first stage of disaster relief management task. However, it is noted that the lack of knowledge at the local level or disaster affected regions or individuals and groups are not well represented to the government organizations. So there is the need of different stakeholders which can play as different roles and can minimize the negative impact of distribution tasks or make it more effective. To overcome this negative impact, the shared and collaborative distribution is required so that the effective local knowledge or effective links or some limitations where the government can't reach or can't overcome the limitations in effective way. There are different other stakeholders that can be used in the relief management task to overcome the barrier. The collaboration can be with existing network or existing stakeholders, or it can be with even with the bringing new stakeholders in the framework if required. A disaster relief management framework is presented in this paper with 5 key stakeholders for the with different responsibility and how they can work together to bring this disaster resilience or make it the disaster relief task very effective. The framework work will have a positive impact on the operational efficiency of disaster relief management, and also can respond faster to different stakeholders, and because they know what role they have performing there in the disaster relief management task. At the end, I would like to thank you to the organizer to giving me the opportunity to present my paper, and I would love to have any feedbacks and any questions which I can answer, or anyone can reach to me with my email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhupesh, Mr. Ramesh sir, I'm just taking your time just a couple of seconds. Professor Subarna Saka sir, are you connected now?
Yes, I am here. Yeah.
Could you please stay? So we'll just go for the QA session with Bhupendra for 5 minutes,
Okay,
and
no
next
problem.
one, and next one yours. Is all right? Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, please keep stay join there. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Marasin sir, you go now for QA session. Sorry, Marasin sir, are you ready to? We can take the Q question. We can do the QA for. Oh, something happened. Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Echo is there.
I think echo from there, isn't it, Bhupesh?
Yeah, it looks like there is echo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah, we couldn't hear. Could you repeat there?
If anyone closer to laptop can repeat the question again.
We could not hear. Sorry, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry to say I couldn't hear the question. Could you please repeat again the question?
The question was, out of those stakeholders and in the framework, right, government and everybody, who was most effective and who wasn't effective in the last earthquake reconstruction?
Yes, so when we see the success story of the different disaster relief management across the world, including UK and Korea and some from USA, the government organization has the key stakeholder that plays a key role to establish or to control all mechanism which is required. And then the rest of 4, what we are talking, what I have presented, they are all equally important because everyone has different roles and responsibilities and accountability. And it's a collaborative work. It's not, I can't say that which one is important. Yeah, on top, I can put the government organization and rest all. And these are the 5 key components, but there could be some 1 or 2 depending upon the geographical or cultural diversity. But it's a shared responsibilities. All have their own accountability and all are key stakeholders. I hope I understand the question. I'm answer.
Yeah, I think the question was who was the most effective and who was the least effective in that framework.
among the stakeholders.
Yes, among the stakeholders, if you, okay, so I read the government organization on the top because they are the controlling mechanism and they are the policy maker and rules makers, and all rest of the four are has some their own accountability, and they all categorize and the second hierarchy, and they are equally important. After on the top government, and the rest four are below them, and but they are equally important.
Are there any other questions? Professor? Okay. Thank you, Professor, for your interesting presentation and
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are coming back to our keynote speaker. Obviously, we had some delays due to the connection and so on. So now we are coming back to the keynote speech. Now, sir, are we ready for me to introduce you, sir? Now?
Yes, please go for it.
Okay. So I would like to introduce Professor Subarna Sakya from Institute of Engineering, Nepal. Professor Dr. Subarna Sakya holds PhD in computer engineering from Lviv Polytechnic National University, Ukraine. He is Professor of Computer Engineering at Department of Electronics and Computer Engineering, Future Campus, Institute of Engineering, Cleveland University, and also visiting professor in Brown University, USA. He is also Director of IT Innovation Center at Cleveland University. He served as Executive Director at National Information Technology Center, Government of Nepal, and also Head of Department of Electronics and Computer Engineering. He also takes the directorship of the Center for Information Technology, and he is also a chairman of Electronics and Computer Engineering Subject Committee, Institute of Engineering. He has also served as coordinator of several EU projects, and he has worked in various advisory roles, serving as editor of journals, and has published more than 150 journal papers. He was, in 2019, he was awarded 100 Most Dedicated Professors, and also awarded Best Professor in Computer Engineering Studies by World Education Congress. He is Chief Editor of Journal of Artificial Intelligence and Capsule Network, and so on. So he has got a wide-ranging, very long experience in the field, and as an expert in the computer engineering. And I would like to ask Subarna sir to go ahead with the presentation, keynote speech.
Thank you. So the video is there, yeah, I think.
So we have 35 minutes for the keynote speech. As soon as it finishes, I will take the questions. And Subarna sir will be.
Hello. Play the video, yeah. Then after that, I will continue.
Thank you for organizer for inviting me as a keynote speaker in this 7th Society of Nepalese Engineers in the UK Conference on Engineering and Technology for Sustainability. My keynote speech is Issue and Challenges of Adopting Cloud Governance. This is my short CV. So my keynote talk organized as follows: concept of e-government, the challenges affecting the adopting of cloud government service and overcome these challenges. Then after that, discussion and conclusion. E-government, we can refer to the use by government agencies of information and communication technologies that have the ability to transform relation with citizen, business, and other arms of the government. These technologies can serve a variety of different ends: better delivery of government service to citizen, improve interaction with business and industry, citizen empowerment through access to information, or more efficient government management. The main result, by using this e-government, the benefits can be less corruption, increased transparency, greater convenience, revenue growth, and the cost reduction. There are so many challenges in the e-governments. The main challenges are ICT infrastructure. If lack of infrastructure, we cannot implement the e-government effectively. And security and privacy, because in e-government all are online, systems and using ICT. That's why the security privacy is another challenges. Then management, another challenges, social influence and lack of awareness. We have to create the awareness to all the people how to use the ICT as tools in the e-government. And cloud computing is the another part. Cloud computing is one of the internet-based computing where all the shared resources, software and information are provided to the computers and devices on demand. Cloud computing is the type of computing that provides simple on-demand access to full the high elastic computing resources. Users can access the information from anywhere, anytime. That means 24/7 days, 365. So cloud computing architectures, we can refer to the components and subcomponents required for cloud computing. These components typically refers to front end, that means flight client is there, thin client is there. Backend platform means servers and storage. Cloud-based delivery and network, that means internet, intranet, and inter-cloud system. Hosting the cloud. There are 3 layers in cloud computing. That means companies use this layer based on service they provided, infrastructure, platform, and as well as the application. Cloud computing models are deployment models and as well as the service model. In the deployment models, the types of clouds are public cloud, private cloud, hybrid, as well as the community cloud. In the public cloud, allow system and service to be easily accessible to the general public. That means general public can access it. Public cloud may be less secure because of its openness. Everybody can access it, so that the security is less. In the private cloud allows system and services to be accessible within an organization. It is more secure because of its private nature. In the case of community cloud, allows system and service to be accessible by the group of organizations. Hybrid cloud is the mixing of private and public, private as well as the public cloud. That means mix of the public as well as the private cloud, in which critical activities are performed using private cloud, while the non-critical activities are performed using public cloud. And cloud service model are, we also call as a SPI model: SaaS, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. And infrastructure as a service means is the most basic level of the service. That means each of the service model inherit the security and management mechanism from the underlying model. Infrastructure as a service provides access to fundamental resources such as physical machines, virtual storage. Platform as a service means PaaS provide the runtime environment for applications, development and deployment tools, etc. And SaaS means software as a service model, allowed to use software application as a service to end users. The common factor of these SPI models are pay per use, instant scalability, security, reliability, and application programming interface is important. So next is the cloud computing, and we have to make it into cloud governance, because we must know about the governance also, we must know about the cloud, and we can use the cloud governance, the future technology. Now, the cloud governance is using as a government sector to effective implementation of the cloud computing. It is the set of policies or principles that act as a guidelines for the adoption, use, and management of cloud technology services. It is an ongoing process that must sit on the top of the existing government models. It is a set of rules you create to monitor and amend as necessary in order to control cost, improve efficiency, and eliminate the security risk. This model aims to secure application and data even if located distantly. The best cloud governance solution include people as well as the processes and technology. That means three important process are needed. Three important steps. That means people, process, and technology. It mainly refers to decision making processes, criteria, as well as the policy involved in the planning, architecture, acquisition, deployment, operation, architecture, acquisitions, implementation, operation, and management of the cloud computing capabilities. Why cloud governance is important? The main important parts here is in government sector, lack of infrastructure, I already mentioned, and challenges are there, and IT personnel, human resource, lack of human resources, because we train them, and most of the human resources they are shifting from one place to another, because this is the problem of the human resource in the government sector. And IT budget, IT budget is not wisely used, because every year the IT budget is not so much for the information technology development infrastructure, so that when we are converting, we are going to cloud governance, that means this is sustainability. We can sustain the technology also, and we can manage easily compared to traditional way. So the objective of the cloud governance is to develop the cloud computing service for the government agencies, to help providing the IT infrastructure services to government agencies, then make use of government IT budget wisely to lift the country e-government to the higher level. So next is the cloud governance service are what? Uses, this is the users base and SPI models. Reduce time for purchasing and implementing. That means very easy for use such type of technology. And I give you one example. When the pandemic situation in the Tribhuvan University, that time, if we need to develop the software, it takes very long time, and the purchasing process also very long, and implementation also very long. So we are using, at that time we are using the Microsoft Team. Microsoft Team already ready-made applications, and we can use for our e-learning platform. It is very easy and no need to purchase, and it is easy to implement also, and timely we can implement it at that time. And then another vision is reduce the government cost, reduce the redundancy of IT infrastructure by sharing, and service level agreement based guarantee service, on-demand service, any facility, anywhere, anytime. And challenges of adopting cloud governance are security and privacy. That means security requirement must be fulfilled on several layers, where the implementation of the cloud computing include advanced security technologies. Data protection and compliance is the another challenge. That means some data protection regulation do not allow the storage of sensitive data in other countries, which is basically not accomplished by most cloud service providers. Interoperability and data portability. There is a lack of standard when using the implementing cloud computing services. Users should be able to change between cloud service providers with a minimum of risks and costs. So government may need to adopt open standard policy for the cloud. Open standard is the most important here. And then after that, many governments decide to use ICT system that constrain to open standard in order to save the cost, or that can take place when using non-standard systems. And identity and access management is the another challenges as cloud computing services rely completely under availability and speed of the internet as a carrier between consumer and service provider. Speed and availability will be an issue. Auditing is another issue. That means cloud providers currently do not offer detailed auditing possibilities, where the auditing becomes essential, and in situation where compliance to specific regulation or policies must be verified. And by using the cloud governance, the benefits are scalability, fixability, cost we can reduce it, and pay per use. System integration is very effective and efficient way and easy way, and that means benefits of by using the cloud governance. And discussion of my presentation challenges are technological challenges are there. Organization also we can include as challenges, and environmental. Technology and organization challenges can be seen as lapses in IT governance in the country, which must be managed by organization senior management. IT management concerns the security regulations provided by the cloud computing provider, which means they have to pay attention to adopt the new technologies. Accordingly, decision must be made to ensure effective use of adoption of cloud governance system. Finally, the significant influence in the adoption of cloud governance concerns security and privacy, which needs to be improved the process to mitigate against the high risks. The conclusion of my keynotes are as cloud computing is the actual working to help break down the barriers of many governments to enter new phase, sharing service and pooling of the resources. It offers an effective way to share information between citizens. Then after that, we can reduce the effort in the providing service, budget management, and the cost effective. Challenge of cloud governance. Cloud government and investigates the importance of the new technology to be adopted implementing e-government such as cloud computing, which provide the overall strategies and the techniques to manage e-government content in the journal. And by adopting cloud governance, the benefit are cost reduction and pay as you use. Challenges affecting the adoption of cloud governance like security, concern lack of awareness, and poor ICT infrastructure. Some recommendation that could be lead to increased adoption of cloud governance system to overcome the obstacles in their limitation to deliver the online services. Recommendation are cloud computing is one of the best solution. That means to overcome the lack of IT infrastructure from keeping up with the requirement of high quality of the e-government. Additionally, the incorporation of cloud technology will provide a positive opportunity to reduce the cost in the development of the e-government system. These are the few references. Thank you very much for invited me as a keynote speaker, special to Society of Nepalese Engineers in UK. Thank you very much.
Sir, are you there?
Thank you very much.
Now I will simply floor for questions. Any questions, sir? Anyone?
नमस्ते सर सुन्नु भएको मलाई
No, भन्नुहोस् है. If you have any questions, I can.
यो आईटी सेक्टरमा अहिले चाहिँ हैन यो जुन चेन्ज छ नि लास्ट 4-5 वर्षमा क्लाउडबाट डिस्ट्रिब्युटेड क्लाउड फग कम्प्युटिङ हुँदै अहिले ब्लकचेनबाट पनि होलो चेन हैन अनि यता साइबर सेक्युरिटीमा हाम्रो क्रिप्टोग्राफीबाट नयाँ टेक्नोलोजीहरू आइरहेको छ एकदम ऱ्यापिड चेन्ज छ नि हैन यो चेन्ज देखेर म आफै पनि कहिलेकाहीँ डराउँछु कि आत्तिन्छु कि हैन
हजुर
नेपाल जस्तो कन्ट्री हैन जुन चाहिँ ई गभर्नेन्समा अथवा क्लाउड गभर्नेन्समा भर्खरै दामी सर्दै गरेको एउटा कन्ट्रीले यो चेन्जलाई चाहिँ कसरी स्कोप गर्न सक्छ कसरी एड्याप्ट हुन सक्छ यसको फाइनान्सियल फ्याक्टरहरू अनि यसको पोलिसी मेकिङमा चाहिँ के गभर्नमेन्टले गर्न सक्छ अथवा गरिरहेको छ हजुर आफै पनि गभर्नमेन्टसँग अलिकति नजिक बसेर काम गर्नुभएको हुनाले
हजुर
त्यो सेक्टरमा चाहिँ के भइरहेको थियो भोलि गएर हामीले इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्यौँ भने पनि यो चेन्जलाई चाहिँ नेपाल गभर्नमेन्टले कसरी अगाडि बढाउन सक्छ होइन इभन युके जस्तो कन्ट्रीहरू अथवा युएस जस्तो कन्ट्रीहरू पनि यो चेन्जसँग एडेप्ट गर्न चाहिँ उनीहरूलाई गाह्रो छ किन भन्दा धेरै बजेट चाहिँ उनीहरूसँग त बजेट छ होइन त्यति प्रब्लम नहोला म्यान पावर छ नेपालको कन्टेक्समा चाहिँ यसलाई हजुरले कसरी एनालाइज गर्नुहुन्छ
अब यो कुरा नेपालको केसमा हामीले अब नेपालमा चाहिँ अब अलिकति टेक्नोलोजी पनि डेभलप भइरहेको देखेको छु मैले हैन पहिला भन्दा मैले सुरुमा एनआइटिसीमा एक्जिक्युटिभ डाइरेक्टर हुँदाखेरि ई गभर्नेन्स मास्टर प्लान 2006 मा आयो। त्यसपछि त्यो आधारमा चाहिँ त्यो बेला पनि ट्रेडिसनल डाटा सेन्टरहरू इस्टाब्लिस भयो कोरियाको सहयोगमा। त्यसपछि आएर विभिन्न इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन हुँदै गयो। अब मैले के त्यो बेला चाहिँ यो ई गभर्नेन्स लागू गर्नु नै ठुलो कुरा जस्तो लागेको थियो। अहिले आएर त्यो ट्रेडिसनल गभर्नमेन्ट ई गभर्नमेन्ट चाहिँ हुँदैन भन्ने कुरा, त्यस कारण हामीले क्लाउड गभर्नेन्समा जानुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ लागेर गभर्नमेन्टको पोलिसी पनि एक किसिमले चेन्ज हुँदैछ, भइ पनि रहेछ र आइटी डिपार्टमेन्टले यो क्लाउड गभर्नेन्समा अगाडि बढाइरहेको छ है। त्यसमा अब किनभने टेक्नोलोजी भनेको यो डेभलपिङ अन्डर डेभलपिङ भन्ने हुँदैन, टेक्नोलोजी भनेको एडप्ट गर्दै जानुपर्छ होइन। त्यस कारण चाहिँ अब त्यसमा चाहिँ अब हामी एकाडेमिक वेमा पनि हेर्नुपर्छ, इन्डस्ट्री वेमा पनि हेर्नुपर्छ र गभर्नमेन्ट सेक्टरमा पनि हामीले हेर्नुपर्छ। त्यस कारण चाहिँ नेपालमा अब इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्नको लागि सबभन्दा ठुलो भनेको पोलिसी हो कि पोलिसीलाई हामीले राम्रोसँग पोलिसी चाहिँ देशको चाहिँ पोलिसी राम्रो बन्यो भने इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन सेकेन्ड पार्ट हो। त्यस कारण पोलिसी ड्रिभन हुन्छ जे पनि टेक्नोलोजी पनि होइन। हामी ठुल्ठुलो टेक्नोलोजीको कुरा गर्छौँ तर टेक्नोलोजीलाई इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्नलाई त पोलिसी नै हो नि होइन। त्यस कारण पोलिसीलाई हामीले स्ट्रङ बनाउनु पर्छ र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि हामीले क्लाउड गभर्नेन्स ब्लकचेन टेक्नोलोजी तपाईँले भन्नुभएको अघिको आर्टिफिसियल इन्टेलिजेन्स भयो होइन, त्यो टेक्नोलोजी त सँगसँगै हिँड्छ नि। त्यस कारण पोलिसीमा चाहिँ ई गभर्नेन्स लागू गर्नु पर्यो, इमर्जिङ टेक्नोलोजी युज गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा आइसकेपछि देन आफ्टर द्याट वी क्यान इम्प्लिमेन्ट इट है त, यही कुराहरू हो। Thank you.
Any other questions? I've got one question.
Okay.
On this one. So normally when we look at any new development, we look at the maturity level, whether they are in the beginning, whether they're in the middle, or they are in the effective using the thing like that. So where do you see we are at the moment in the context of Nepal? Where we stand in terms of cloud governance?
So cloud governance we just started. No, we have cloud governance data center is already established in our Nepal in IT department, yeah, organized by the IT department. That means infrastructure is developing, yeah, infrastructure and some cloud governance service also provided by the government also. Yeah, this is the some implementation part of the e-governance. That means we have information transformation is there, yeah. That's why nowadays some government service they are providing the cloud service. That means government to citizen services. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Subhan, sir?
So please.
This topic you must have like quite interesting questions and so on. So I'm always interested more about the security situation. It would be more of the e-government and so on. How we actually cope with the attacks coming from this like security and so on. It's a big challenge. So do you see any challenges for the government?
No. Security is I already mentioned is security is the challenges in the cloud governance. Yeah, that's why the security is the most important. That's why security we have concern very high level in not only for the Nepal, all over the world, because in cloud governance, the security is the most important. In cloud computing, security is the important part. When we are going to develop our software, in cloud computing, we have software as a service. In the traditional way, suppose we are developed software lifecycle in traditional way, it is not so possible. That's why we have to make it security software development lifecycle, SSDLC. Then after that, first of all, we have to secure our application software platform as well as the infrastructure. That means when we are going to develop the software, the traditional software development lifecycle is not sufficient. That's why we have to develop our software by using SSDLC. Then after that, we can secure our software systems and as well as the platform as well as the infrastructure also. So first of all, the security policies, cyber security laws and policies also important. First of all, we have to develop such type of policy. Then after that, we have to use some technology to make it more an effective, efficient way of the security system. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a quick comment on this. Suwan sir is actually, obviously we all know that he's hugely respected. He was also my external supervisor when I did my thesis.
मैले अलिकति राम्रो सुनिरहेको छैन, फेरि एकचोटि दोहोऱ्याउनुहुन्छ कि है, क्लियर भइरहेको छैन.
I just said a few good words about yourself, sir, and the thing is like he's been enforcing these policy level issues so much these days, and he's in the position to do it, fortunately. It's also because like I remember like 20 years ago, we Subhan sir and myself, we founded this Computer Engineers Association in Nepal, and we could think of everything great, around us. It's all about imagination and expectation, but there's always policy level restriction. And it is great to see him like working more in policy level now, to actually enable the engineers to, realize their projects and whatever they have, learned. The other thing that we should note is he just in his last comment he mentioned like we should be developing our own software, and which is great because if you kind of compare this with the previous presentations where we're talking about infrastructure and construction side of development engineering, there's always and also metro to be very precise. There's a lot of kind of ground for there's a lot of challenges for funds and the budget, but when it comes to software, it is more than the funds and the international donation and all that. It's about kind of collecting your own manpower internally in-house. In Nepal itself, we were so much software development potential that we can actually make use of them and do as big project that you can envisage. So that's a great aspect, and I think it's great to hear that he's working on it. And yeah, that's all. That was my comment.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for organizer and especially SONEUK.
There is one more question now. You're getting more popular.
Okay. So you have one more question then again? Okay, please. फेरि अलि ठुलो स्वरले सोझो मैले त्यति सुनिरहेको छैन.
Could you repeat that again? Like just speak.
Your education system ma jasari हामी education curriculum हामी follow गर्छौं त्यसलाई improve गर्नको लागि challenge कुरा पनि छ त्यसलाई improve गर्नको लागि कस्तो policy develop भइरहेको
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's a brilliant question. What's your good name? Sorry, Sushma. What's your full name? Sushma Thapa. Yeah. So we should have this policy. We should have this rule that everyone who puts a question forward, they should introduce themselves first. So Kushma Thapa, she's got a very nice, very relevant question for you because you are also involved so much into education sector.
Yes.
So other than all that we discussed so far, sir, what she wants to know is what is the level of input, what is the level of effort that is going into the education of the software sector? Because that is also important. Yeah.
In Nepal, software sector, yeah. So in our academic education, we have software engineering courses are there, and we can software engineering we can provide them as a core course in BSc, CSIT, as well as a B computer engineering, BIM, and other computer application also. And most of the software engineering they studied in our Tribhuvan University as well as under university. They can do the internship also, and they work as a project. They develop their project in software, and then after that they go to industry for the work. Most of the industry people, our academic, our degree students, they can work as a professional in very good way nowadays. Because in previous time some lack is there, but nowadays the software company hire our students. They are working very good because due to the internship and some practical and professional software development course in our academic institution, we can provide them professional, some internship also, and some practical also, because they can develop also. That's why they are very they can easily work as a software administrator, software programmer. So that's why it's a one type of good way they are working. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're in high demand now.
Yes. Because nowadays most of the students in the they have already have job. Yeah, because we have the software engineering job is increasing in Nepal, because now IT students, they are working very hard and they have a very good job, because in the pandemic season they work in the home. Most of the IT students, IT professionals, they have many jobs in Nepal nowadays. Yeah.
So the question was, I think the main question was, are they capable of dealing with the challenges when they are?
Yes. They are capable. They are capable, and they have to. The main thing is that when going to development the software, some policy plan and some methodology is important. According to methodology, according to plan and policy, they will implement. Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Shubhan sir, for your
Thank you.
answer and your contribution as well. It's very interesting and providing
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank you
insight
very much. Thank you very
from
much.
government. Thank you very
All
much
of you, all of you. Thank you very
time
much.
and,
Namaskar. Namaskar to all. Yeah.
staying late in
Thank you.
Nepal.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
We will
much.
just
And
continue.
special SONEUK ji for inviting me. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you, and all my other students also there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, sir, where are we now in terms of program? I think
we-
we do one more presentation and then have a break rather than.
I think we have only 2 presentations left. Then the Kripa is available, but the Sudeep Bhattaraj is still not joined.
Can we go to Kripa? I think let's have that presentation, then have a break.
Let me see how many left
If she's
now.
around.
Yeah, she's there.
She's there.
Yeah, I think she's around. I think let's do the presentation first then.
Let's have one presentation, then have a break, then we can come back to other one and then have another open session as well later on.
Yeah, I think so. But if the Sudeep is not available, then we can have our own discussion after the break.
Yeah.
But I think the Kripa is still waiting for a long time. Let's give the Kripa the presentation for next one.
So let's go carry on with the Kripa. Kripa, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Hello.
Just give me a couple of minutes to introduce you, and then we will go through the presentation as well. Okay. Let me find out the paper. Sorry, I just mixed it up. So the topic for the presentation from Kripa is the status of application of BIM in architecture, engineering, and construction projects in Nepal. Can I put some quiet, please? Sorry. Kripa Mahajan is a graduate of MSc in Construction Management from Institute of Engineering, Tutor Campus, Tribhuvan University. She is also a licensed architect, having worked on several private and governmental projects. During her architecture school, she had won awards for the institutional and national level of Asian Paints Design Competition in 2016 and 2017, respectively. She had her bachelor's final thesis ranked as one of the best projects of the year, which was also exhibited in the university. She was also one of the final nominees of the SCAF Young Architect Excellence Award in 2018. She had keen interest in BIM software from graduate years and did her graduate research in status of BIM in Nepal. Currently, she is working as team leader of design department in Microtech Yameni Private Limited. So Kripa, obviously we will be playing your presentation first, then we'll ask you for the question and answer. Right? Later on. It's way online.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Just to give background, I was able to supervise her as well. So
Ramesh sir, we can hear some echo as well. I think the disturbing.
Hello and namaste to the organizers, presenters, and audience present here today. I am joining virtually from Nepal and glad to be part of this conference of 7th Society of Nepalese Engineers in UK. Introducing myself, I am Kripa Mahajan, Master's Graduate in Construction Management from IOE Pultur campus, and I am honored to present my thesis paper regarding the status of application of BIM in architecture, engineering, and construction projects in Nepal. I would also like to thank my supervisor, Dr. Ramesh Marasani sir from Buckinghamshire New University HiCom UK, and Santosh sir from IIE Pultur campus. So heading towards the presentation. So starting with the introduction to BIM, it stands for Building Information Modeling. It is a process of using information technology for sharing, modeling, evaluating, collaborating, and managing a virtually built model within a software. The whole life cycle of a building can be visualized from its conceptual stage to design, construction, operation, and facility management, and even demolition. The whole process can be visualized virtually using a building BIM software. So this helps to increase the value of a building, shorten the process duration, provide reliable cost estimates, and also helps for the facility and the maintenance purposes after the construction of a building. So why is BIM needed? The present condition of the construction industry has many faults. There is lack of knowledge sharing between different project stakeholders. Design and construction is being done using a set of 2D drawings, and any changes required for the drawings and the specification are corrected by a long trail of paperwork. So construction industry, AEC industry has been seeking techniques to improve the productivity and quality with the cut in the project cost and lessen the project delivery time. So BIM offers the potential to accomplish this objective with more efficiently and easily. Regarding the present situation in Nepal of BIM, there is lack of research regarding BIM. So, and very few architecture and engineer firms are using BIM, but which is still in the initial stage for drafting and 3D modeling only. It is sad to say that no project till date has been completed using BIM tools and procedures, and the work is still being done using a AutoCAD system. 3D modeling is gaining popularity, structural analysis is being done, and 3D modeling is used for architecture, exterior and interior views only, with very few BIM softwares. So the aim of this research or study was to examine the factors that are essential for the adoption of BIM, to assess the level of awareness of BIM among engineers and architects in Nepal, and also to recommend ways to improve the efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of constructions in Nepal. So by the use of the BIM, a single model created using BIM can generate multiple views of floor plans, sections, elevation drawings, and details drawing all in a single model. Different parties involved in a project can work in a single model, which helps for the smooth information sharing. And BIM also follows 7-dimensional processes, 2D being the drafting part, 3D is the modeling, 4D is scheduling, 5D includes cost estimation, 6D includes the sustainable design, and 7D also includes the facility management. So Ben and Richard in 2008 came up with the BIM maturity levels, in which level indicates the use of the BIM in the project. So 4 levels are there. 1, 0 to 3. So level 0, BIM is just used for 2D drafting process. Level 1 partly involves the modeling in 3D, and phase 2 includes the intelligent objects and informations built in the model. And in this level, the BIM level, waste and error can be cut up to 50%. At the last stage of the level 3, all the project participants are sharing the model in a real time, and the information process is smooth using the information management protocols. So in this process, it can increase the profit and mitigate the risk significantly. So regarding the benefits of BIM, there is better collaboration and communication. Pre-construction visualization of project can be done. Model-based cost estimation as well as improved coordination can be carried out. Class detection can be detected pre-construction, and it reduces the cost and mitigates the risk. It improves the scheduling and increases the productivity and fabrication. Stronger management, facility management, and building handover as well. Regarding the barriers that affect for the adoption of BIM is that people still think that the existing system is enough for them. That there is high cost of education, copyright, and training as well. There is need of sharing information, and most project stakeholders do not want to share the critical information with other parties. There is the illegal issues as well. Government framework is also one of the barriers. Clients are not requiring BIM, which can be considered as one of the high strength of barriers, and existing CAD system fulfill all the needs for the design, drafting, and to construct the building. So for the research, quantitative research strategy was followed with a questionnaire survey with a few qualitative questions at the end. The questions were structured and close-ended, and a 5-point Likert scale was used. The study area was limited to Kathmandu Valley only, and the study population was taken as 9,296 from the Nepal's Engineer Association data of 2018 election in Kathmandu only. The total number of engineers and architects are expected to be higher considering the recent graduates and unregistered professionals. So, however, this was the only authentic information available for this study at that time. Sample size was 370, and pre-testing of 5% sample size, which is 18, was used. Using convenience sample method was carried out. For the analysis, descriptive and inferential statistics were used. Frequencies, percentile, mean, standard deviation, RRI index, which is relative important index, was carried out, and t-test and p-value were used. Thematic analysis was also used for the qualitative question, in which the theming and coding was conducted. So for the first set of questions consisted the demographic general information about the respondents, and 130 completed response was received, which is less than the 50% of sample size. However, the margin of error was 9%, which was below the 10% acceptable error. So this research can be conducted as valid. So this table indicates the general information about the respondents, which includes the gender, education qualifications, study place, field of study, nature of work, current field of job, present job, years of experience, as well as the percentage of 3D programs using, and which software are used for the carrying out the projects. So this bar chart shows the software used to carry out the projects. From above bar chart, the maximum use of AutoCAD with the 37.05% respondents are using the AutoCAD. For 3D modeling, 23.11% are using the SketchUp. So the red bar indicates the BIM software, while others are not BIM softwares. So the most used BIM software is Revit with the 10.75%, while ArchiCAD, Tekla Structures, and Navisworks remains less than 5%. Regarding the aim of the study, three question states consisting statements were given for the respondents. First set of statements consisted to assess the level of awareness of BIM among engineers and architects in Nepal. The numerical scores were obtained from questionnaire responses, and a tabular form of which is present, and ranking is done according to the RRI. So in this table, it shows that the first ranked, I think the BIM technology is important for the AC industry in Nepal, ranks the first, and importance of BIM for the sustainable environment ranks the second. So this shows that the respondents were aware of the importance of BIM. Similarly, some of my college courses at university talk about BIM was ranked the 8th. So most of the respondents who studied in Nepal had never known or really known about the course of BIM in their university, and remaining somehow knew about the courses. Architects, being the highest respondent, have learned about the BIM in university or heard about it, while most of them, other engineers, have not learned about that. So this highlights that the architecture and engineering courses in Nepal do not include BIM in their curriculum. I use BIM technology in my job ranks the last. It is a meaningful and realistic result about the current situation with AutoCAD being used for 2D drafting and SketchUp being used for the 3D modeling respectively. So for the overall results of the first sets of questions, the level of awareness among engineers and architects in Nepal equals to 2.83, which is less than the standard 3 mean, and RI is also less. So the level of awareness among BIM of engineers and architects in Nepal can be concluded as low. For the second sets of questions, which investigates the strength of barrier and adoption of BIM system in design and construction in Nepal, similar numerical scores have been presented with the 14 statements. And the ranking was done accordingly. So this shows that the top five ranked are the highest barriers in the adoption of BIM in Nepal, which includes that the engineers and architects are willing to learn new application, but the educational culture and the understanding is limited of the existing program they are dealing with. There is also need for the real case study of BIM implication in Nepal. Similarly, small firms lack investment for the adoption of BIM. Similarly, government framework and regulations also do not support the implementation of BIM. Effective collaboration among project stakeholders is also difficult due to the fragmentation nature of the AEC construction in Nepal. And clients actively demanding the use of BIM in design and construction of projects lack the last, as clients are very unaware about the BIM software existing. So top 5 barriers can be considered as the strongest, and they are logical and acceptable, as BIM barriers are substantially affecting the adoption of BIM in AEC industry in Nepal. For the third set of statements, which includes the current status of BIM adoption in Nepal, so the different stages of construction, from design to the conceptual to the design to the construction, and even operation and renovation were included. So in this, we can see that use of BIM during design and detailing stage ranks the first, as the highest number of respondents were the architects from the group. They are using them for the design and detailing stage. So we can see that most of the designers are using BIM softwares and tools as well, and for the renovation, most of people do not use BIM for as well. So from the overall question sets, we can see that BIM was used for the conceptual design and detailing stage by the designers only, and maximum use of 2D drawing was AutoCAD, and SketchUp was used for 3D modeling. So from this we can include that the BIM is still in the level 1 of BIM maturity level from the Benz and Richards model. 2 questions were included for the qualitative questionnaires regarding how do you describe the status of BIM use in Nepal, and how can we promote the use of BIM in Nepal. The response can be seen, and theme and quotes can be seen in the table. So the thematic analysis also supports the finding from the literature review and quantitative data analysis. High cost and education trainings and government framework can be considered as barriers. So from the conclusion, we can see that the BIM status is low and is still in the early stage of Nepal, and BIM methodology is not followed in the process. Maximum use is for the design and detailing only. Construction is not being there using BIM, and real case studies are also important to promote the use of BIM in Nepal. For the recommendation, education first is the education and training is necessary, as well as government policy and framework is also necessary. And we need to invest in trainings and workshops for the architects and engineers as well. And further studies can be done regarding from different perspective of consultant and contractors, which can include the design, construction, and operational phases as well. So topic for further studies can include BIM implementation benefits, challenges in Nepal by demonstrating a real-life BIM model of building and infrastructure projects. So I'd like to conclude my presentation here. Thank you.
Can you hear us? Hello? Kirpa, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So can we have some questions?
Yeah, sure.
If you just introduce and then just like.
I am SONEUK. I have recently arrived in UK. I was doing a structural engineering job in Nepal itself. And I had a question, like, do you have any sort of analysis, cost analysis of a building, of a common residential building that is like most prominent in our country, using a common software as AutoCAD 2D and a simple design like software versus like all the beams the same building designed in or modeled in beams. So are there any cost differences in that? Because people back in our country aren't willing to pay. They are like always willing to squeeze it down in modeling, designing, and everything. So have you got any sort of that modeling? How much cost difference it will make?
So at first, most of the clients have no idea about the BIM software, so that is hindering in the process of whether a BIM model is required or not. So for the project to run from designing to the construction phase, it requires a certain period of time. So that time period affects the cost as well. That is why I think the cost would be high, as it directly relates to the whole construction project. So at the moment there hasn't been any project that is completed using BIM. So it's quite difficult to say about the total cost of a project using a BIM at the moment. Another study would be required for the research.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You like to point out a level of beam awareness in the family one was 0, and none of the projects were completed using this beam method platform. And it looks like, is there any imperative or policy imperative from government? How much government is pushing to implement? Is there any willingness from government to go to this direction, or just it's private sector which is taking up on?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Did you hear the question correctly?
Can you please repeat it?
Yes, sure. It's really nice research you have done. Thank you for that. It clearly mentions that the level of beam awareness in Nepal is only level 1, just above 0.
Yes.
And there seems to be none of the project is completed by using this BIM technology, BIM method. And there are lots of other reasons as well. But is there a government push, government imperative to impose this BIM whenever for the new construction project, or is there a willingness from government to push it towards this direction, or is just the private sector that's taking up all these loads?
At the current situation, thank you for the question. At the current situations, only small residencies and small projects are being designed using BIM at the moment, but only for the design. Construction is not being done using BIM softwares. So regarding the government structures or government inputs for this, it's sad to say that there has been no any kind of push recently. But there is a current trend of using 3D modeling for visualization only. At the moment, it is 3D models are only used for visualization of the projects, of the interior and the exterior views. So for the construction, it's sad to say that there has been no input from the government or governmental or government policies that it's needed for BIM softwares or the designers to use them and to come across for implementations.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any more questions?
One people actually, why do you just one thing? You know you got why BIM? So why? You're not like एउटा मात्र like एउटा reason most important reason. What do you think that would be?
I think the most important reason to use a BIM is that we cannot stay, we cannot go, we should go ahead, we should go with the technology for more productivity and cost effectiveness. As BIM is the solution for all kinds of problems that are facing with the traditional methods, because there are many hindrances of traditional methods doing the paperworks and the drawings for the repetitive number of process for a long for a number of revisions. So I think BIM is required for that specific reason, that there's we can see the project beforehand, before the construction of it. So that's the reason why BIM is needed.
Like you don't need to have BIM specifically, and technology ma ahead huनुपर्छ भनेर BIM नै adopt गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने technology always changing, they're always being compared. Either once it was so on high, or once it's referred for the CSC, the green building, the the Nepal context, if you need to, if it's really important to have BIM, I think there needs to be one reason. BIM भयो भने चाहिँ हामीले earthquake resistant building बनाउन सक्छौँ. We need BIM. Or cost effective बनाउन सक्छौँ. That's why we need BIM. Or sustainable बनाउन सक्छौँ. We need BIM. I just wanted to know which one would be the most important factor that we require BIM to be integrated in our architecture system or architecture learning or architecture practice.
Did you get it, Kipra?
I'm sorry, but I just heard the partial questions.
Yeah, the question was why we should use BIM, right? If we can do by different things, and then what is the one single reason that we should use BIM, right? So what would that be, based on your understanding?
So based on my understanding, the single reason why BIM should be used is that in case of Nepal, there is the most problematic stage of construction is the costing and scheduling. That is what makes the project run for a number of years behind its deadline. So I think that BIM would be most effective in that area, so that we can know about the cost of the project and how much it takes to complete it and to schedule it accordingly.
Thank you, Kirpa. I'll just take an opportunity for this one because I'm involved on BIM as well. It's mainly to improve the collaboration between different parties, right? Somebody designs, somebody constructs. There's no transfer of information. There's no single inventory of the database. Like we were talking about asset management, anything is starts with the design. So we design in 2D and then put in a 2D drawing somewhere, and then in 5 years' time we have to do some maintenance or look at facility. We don't have any information, right? So in the life cycle of the asset, from the concept design to the operation to the demolition, we have got one model that we can use it in the design, in the construction, in the operation, and in the demolition as well. So we are looking at the life cycle of the asset, right? That's why it's important from the beginning. We have got the electronic information that is searchable, retrievable, right? You can use the decision making effectively from day one. Okay, so you improve collaboration, right? So improving processes and then managing that information better, right? We are talking about sensor. We can have all the specification, all the metro data that we're looking at from the GIS, all can be in one place, and anybody can go. I can go and then click on one point and what it is made of, right? Whatever glass is it, whatever light is it, when I have to replace it. So I have all that information in one place. That's why we have to start from the beginning, not towards the end. We try to create a BIM model, for example, right? So we try to do it from the day one, from the initial concept, and then we gradually develop it, put all the information in one place, and use cloud governance or something, or cloud computing nowadays. So you can be anywhere in the world, but it still maintain the assets and so on, right? It's much more on the decision making, improving efficiency. We don't need to use 10 years, like in a big project. Like if you just manage those, we can reduce the project duration, we can reduce cost, we can improve efficiency, and we can minimize errors, right? Quite a lot of errors come from design. If you look at it in the model, anything we do, a lot of errors come from the design. That's why we are trying to minimize errors in design from the first place. and then we deliver what we say to the client. Okay, we want to deliver this one. We have a 3D model, we study it, and in the process, we make good decision as well. So that's how it's important. Okay, if you keep on doing the way we are doing it, we can still build buildings, but we will not be able to manage them better, right? And then it will not be efficient as well. So it's very important in that we understand why it is important.
You said it is important for new project or ongoing, right?
We can create an existing building as well.
This road.
Then we can do it.
To maintain this road.
Then we can do it. We can have the existing model as well. Then we can run it. Like we have got 360 cameras, we can create a beam model within hours now.
Inside the road, there is some cabling.
No, we can do it now. There are augmented reality. There are several solutions. We can do it as well. So we can do anything these days with the technology, right? But we need to know how to use it. Okay, when to use it as well, isn't it?
It's like we all come together here to talk, right? We could talk sitting in everywhere and just keep on talking and make noise, right? But nobody understands. But now we coming here, sitting in one place, talking together and find out the solution, right? BIM is like that. So everybody bring information in one system, so we can see that system fitting or not. The thing you are saying may be conflicting with others. Somebody's doing something conflicting others. So once you put in the system, you can straight away see where is the problem. So BIM allow that.